What people tend to forget is that there is so much prep work that is involved in prepping a home to sell. And the more time you give yourself to work through those items, the better off you'll be. In my experience with sellers, the more time you give yourself to prep on all these items, I find it gives you the time that you need to avoid cutting corners. When I represent sellers, once you start poking around, wear and tear gets very obvious when you start moving furniture. All of a sudden, everything, every nook and cranny, every crack, and every little issue across that home, that's exactly where the eye is going to draw. Usually what ends up happening is it ends up being in a seller's best interest to do some light contractor work. Usually you want to bring somebody in to patch up holes, to address cracking throughout the apartment, to paint. But again, once you start moving things around, you might realize we're actually dealing with more wear and tear than we initially expected. And a lot of that takes time. You never want to cut corners on those types of things. And other things have to happen too, likely in tandem to getting work done in the home. One thing is, conducting due diligence on the health of the building. You got to remember, a buyer at some point, when they express interest in the property, that's exactly where they're going to go. And as soon as they have an offer accepted, but before they sign a contract, they're going to have their attorney in the door and they're going to be investigating the health of the building. So what I like to do far in advance of listing is almost run a due diligence process as if we were buying the property fresh. And ultimately it helps us kind of determine pricing and, how we want to discuss certain features of the home or of the building. And then in addition to that, I would say a really important kind of underlying kind of engine that should be running as you're prepping for sale is tracking the market and really educating yourself at a baseline as to how things are trading in your immediate area. I promise it's important. If you can, engage a broker at least 6 months before you have any plans to list or you even want to think about listing. So that once you are thinking about listing and we are finally tracking for a certain date to hit the market, it's almost like you're already educated. Start even earlier than you think you might have to. It builds in that time, even if we don't end up needing it.